Hello, this is Yayoi Komiyama from Brain to Belly, and welcome to the Spanglish World Networks on Zingo TV, channel 250 and 251. Please remember to download both the Zingo TV app on your respective app stores on iOS and Android devices. While you download, make sure to leave a comment. The app is free. Zingo TV is also available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire, Fire TV sticks, Roku, and Roku sticks, also on our smart TVs 2016 and forward. That was a bad accent, sorry. Okay, so hello everyone. And today I want to welcome a special guest, a good friend, and a fellow New Yorker, Arron Lloyd. So,
Yes.
Arron, welcome. He is
Thank
an actor, a speaker, and also a neuroencoding specialist, just like me. And I've been wanting to have him on this show for a while. So, Aaron, hello, and say hi to everyone for me.
Hello. Thank you so much, Yayoi, for having me on your fantastic show. Your audience is so super blessed to have you as a host.
Aw, thank you. So, Aaron, I know that. Tell us a little bit about acting and how you got into neuroencoding. I'm curious to find out.
I was just talking about somebody about this yesterday on set. Somebody asked. My name's Aaron. I grew up in Bridgeport, Connecticut, which is an inner city in Connecticut, which is kind of ironic. Usually in the States, Connecticut has this idea of being this kind of wealthy area, and it is, just not an area that I came from. An inner city, for those that aren't familiar, is kind of like the best thing I can equate it to is just low, like bad things around, and really kind of rock bottom kind of circumstances. And my blessing in that is that I've always kind of had a desire to better myself and get better. And I had a music teacher named Miss Patterson. I initially wanted to be a musician because my grandmother loved music and Louis Armstrong and all these people. And I found my way with the music teacher casting me in a play. And this was just fun. And it kept me occupied after school, something that kept me out of trouble. And I found a real talent for it. When it came to high school, I didn't want to stop doing it. Make a long story short, when it came to college, I didn't want to stop doing it. So I said, I'm going to audition for one school because I have a practical mind. The acting industry and entertainment in general is not like you go to doctor school and then you're a doctor. It's something that, is a little bit more risky. And I
Yes.
understood the risks with that. And I had to follow my heart with that. And I said, I'm going to audition for one school. If I get in that school, then it's my path. I happen to get in. Shout out to UConn. Been doing it ever since. Now, after I graduated, the neural encoding piece is I, based on where I've come from and my awareness of where I was, I only had awareness of where I was. And I'm somebody who has always wanted more. So shout out to the people that are around me that did the best they could with the resources that they knew how. I just wanted more. So my way of doing that was reading books, and a great book that a lot of us have read is Think and Grow Rich. So I started there, and then I got into Joseph McClendon's book, which I have. Next time I see him, I have to have him autograph it because when I was sleeping in the Bronx, I would read this book and it's highlighted in three different colors because I kept on reading it
Oh,
over and over, and it's like falling apart, right? But I still have it. So that became my foray. I went to a UPW and then saw Joseph, saw Tony there, and have been in personal development since. And in 2020, Joseph did a live webinar and offered, I think, what was the beginning of the Institute. And I
yeah.
hopped in from there.
Wow, wow. So for those of you that don't know what neuroencoding is, it's a school, it's an institute that Joseph McClendon created called the Neuroencoding Institute, and it is a method of coaching and personal development as well that helps you to become the best version of yourself, to default to your best version of yourself. And Aaron and I met there, and he's a fellow New Yorker, so of course we got to know each other, and we found out that we're only one station away from each other where
Yeah.
we live, which is the craziest thing. And yeah, and then, oh, this is even crazier. I want to tell everyone. I was on my way to work one morning, and I worked like it was on a weekend, and it was early, like Saturday morning. And I'm on the train, getting on, and I'm like, oh, there's a seat over there on the other side. So I get on the train and I go sit down. And I sit down and I look up, and there's Aaron sitting right across from me. And I'm like, what is going It
I'm
was the
following you.
craziest thing. Yeah. No, it's synchronicity. I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, because the odds of seeing someone in New York when you're thinking of that person never happens. So
Yeah.
it was like crazy. Yeah. But yeah, so sorry to veer off of that the topic of neuroencoding, but I see. Okay, so that's how you got in. So your book, your Joseph McClendon book that you had, is kind of like Joseph McClendon's Think and Grow Rich because he read that over and over and over again, and
Yeah,
his is tattered too. And so it's kind of like your his book is kind of like his Think and Grow Rich book.
yeah.
So
And
wow, that's kind of like what are the that's such synchronicity, right? Right there, just with the path that you and Joseph are having. Yeah.
and just I
Wow.
think it also speaks to the power that each and every one of us have. If Joseph hadn't read that book because he let his circumstances sweep him up,
Yeah.
you, I might not be knowing each other. It's just the ripple effect of you stepping into your best self. You don't know the implications that that has for tons of others that might not even be born yet. So I think that's super special as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I do too, and I think yeah, just the fact that we're both in this neuroencoding institute, which is relatively new,
Mhm.
and I think I love it because it's really about teaching a client how to think for themselves, to regain that power within themselves. And I love that part of it because it's really telling them you have all the resources within you and you just need to tap into it. And it really starts all up here. And then, for me, because I specialize in, teaching people how to change their relationship with food, it's
Mhm.
brain to belly, but it's really what Joseph teaches of the think, feel, do, have,
Exactly.
right? Yeah, yeah. So, so Aaron, I know that over I think 3 years that I've known you, your career as an actor has taken very, steps into higher steps and going forward and forward into it. And I know that you've talked about how Joseph's teachings and the self development you did with the Neuroencoding Institute, and how Joseph teaches magnetism
Hmm.
and how that's really impacted you. Could you tell us a little bit more of that story and that magic of magnetism?
I would love to. Yeah. So magnetism is something I've always been a man of faith. I've always believed that what you want is out there, and just what I was getting into was working hard for it, gritting your teeth, working hard, working hard, working hard. There's also some release. The specific story that is really, really cool where I was like, this stuff works is back. I want to say when did I do the NFL spot last year?
Yeah.
So around May, I wanted a certain dollar amount within my career by a certain date. And for that, for myself, that date, I remember the date because I remember when I shot, it was July 15th, which is also my sister's birthday, my youngest sister's birthday. So I wanted a five-figure amount by July 15th. And I was doing the process, I was doing the process, I was doing the process, which is a process anybody can learn too. We all have that power within us.
Yes.
So I was doing the process, and around, I want to say July 10th, 11th, nothing was happening. And I was like, man, it just doesn't, I've been consistent. It doesn't seem like it's happening. And then the next day, like July 11th or 12th, I get a call from a cast director. Cast director says, "Hey, Aaron, I have this great role. I think you'd be great for it. It's, audition, get your tape in, and I think I can really do something for you." And in my heart, I was like, this is mine. I don't care who else is auditioning for it. This is what I've been seeking. This is what I know. I know it's mine.
Hmm.
So I auditioned from the place of like knowing it's mine, super comfortable, super loose. And then I got the call and I was on set that same week, which is actually also the same day that the SAG after strike started. Now, what I was doing was a commercial, so it didn't fall under the jurisdiction of
Oh,
like
thank
TV
goodness.
film and stuff like that. But I was on set, and that NFL Bud Light commercial paid me five figures almost to the day that I wanted it, which is cool, and tons of other synchronicities. I was also magnetizing you that day I saw you on.
No, you're kidding.
It's the magnetism, though. We find each other.
I know it's true because it's like magnetism is just like, magnets. It's really magnets. We're all magnets of, we all as human beings, we have electricity running through us and we have our poles and we attract or we repel. And that's just like a magnet. And I know that I magnetize everything good that I want near me. And Aaron is one of my good friends. And it's like, yeah, you magnetize the things that are going to bring you the things that you want, that you know that it's right within you. And I think Joseph had once mentioned in one of his calls, he said, put your order into the universe and you'll get it. And it's really, I mean, it's
True.
great. It sounds so simple and it sounds kind of like woohoo, but it's not. It's really science.
Yeah.
And it's also what you believe. And belief has such a big impact on this whole thing as well. And like you said, you knew in your heart that this role was yours, right? That
Yeah.
commercial was yours. And I
Mhm.
think it's that unwavering belief in yourself that also creates that magnetism, that magnetizes it even more to you. Yeah. And I love that story. I think it's so beautiful. And yeah, I know that there have been more instances. Like once that started, it started rolling, like more and more things started magnetizing towards you, correct?
That's right. I was just on
Yeah.
set yesterday, and Yayoi, when I when I could share with you guys what this is, there's two. There's one coming out in the summer next year, I believe,
Okay.
which is it's still a big project, but it's smaller than the one I was just on set for yesterday. They wrote me another scene for that, and this project when I can't wait to share it with you guys because
Yes, I can't wait to hear
yeah,
it.
it's a big global project. I'll just put it that way.
Oh, I'm so happy
Yeah.
for you. Yes, because you've always talked about there's a thing called uh there's a thing called the 60-20-20 rule that Joseph teaches us, and it's really 60% is
Psychology.
Um, yeah, psychology. Sorry, something just pinged on in my computer, and I'm like, "What?" Sorry. Yeah, psychology, and then 20% is energy or the electricity that's within us,
Mhm.
and 20% is magnetism. And that is such an integral part of our process of how we want our lives to be. So if you're striving to get somewhere or to meet a certain goal, think of that and really focus on 60-20-20. And that'll bring you to, like Joseph said, put in your order to the universe and faith and belief in yourself. And I know that I was recently listening to a webinar with Paul Martinelli. I
Mhm.
think Paul Martinelli. He's very big in he started off with humble beginnings as well, and now he's like, multimillionaire, right?
Yeah.
And he knows how to sell though.
Mhm.
And the book Think and Grow Rich was his starting point as well.
Man.
And somebody gave him that book and said, read it and we'll work through this together. And that's how he learned that your belief in yourself, the psychology part, and to believe that you can do anything. So in his case, it was sales. He learned how to do sales and to believe that he can sell himself to anyone.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that all of us need to learn because in life, we all need to sell ourselves in one way or another,
It's absolutely right.
especially in your profession, with acting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. I'm just so thrilled for you because I know when I first met you, you were struggling a little bit with your acting career and all that. And I know that now as a coach, you have many clients as well. So both are really blowing up, right? In a good way.
Yeah, tandem. I have a bunch of digital products. I'm working with clients and really getting my name out there, and things are happening all in due timing.
Yeah, yeah, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. And that's why I wanted you on here because I wanted especially and I think this is perfect because what I know that the country, the world is a little bit in disarray and a lot of people are depressed and
Yes.
sad, as well as people that are very happy as well. But the majority are very depressed,
Yeah.
and I've been hearing that a lot this past week. That
Mhm.
many people are depressed. I know that working with the type of clients that I work with, who work with food.
Mhm.
Many people went to the dark place where they started eating more.
More ice cream.
Yeah, more ice cream, more comfort foods, definitely, because they wanted more of that comfort.
Yeah.
And I know that we talk. So and people are wanting something that's more positive, that's more
Mhm.
fun. And I think that your story is perfect for people to realize that you could create your own reality in a lot of ways.
You can, and your circumstances don't have to define you. Or
No.
growing up, I'm trying to think of like the just to paint a picture of the environment that I grew up in. The high school I went to was literally across the street from a jail. So I don't know what kind of subconscious communication is that sharing, right? There was barbed wire, there was metal detectors that I had to walk through every day. And to me, until I got to college, and my roommate, when I was telling him this, like, yeah, y'all didn't have metal detectors. He was like, no. I was like, what in the world? Like, I thought this was normal. Like,
Right.
so, but that's the kind of environment I was in, and fights would break out, and trying to be in this sense of survival. And I've always had like a heart for people, right? So it was this dichotomy and this juxtaposition of like, I have a heart for people, but you're not going to mess with me. Like I'm,
Yeah.
I have to have that. I call it a stone face, like,
Right.
okay, and head on a swivel, making sure I'm aware of my surroundings. And there's been some undoing, unlearning, unpatterning
Of
uh,
course.
of that kind of stuff. But the point of me sharing this is that that environment did not dictate where my direction was. I always had the vision of what I wanted. Once I get out of here, I need to get out of here. And then once you do that, once you think differently, you start having different energy for different people. How can I? You start asking yourself different questions. How can I find solutions in this? How can I do the best I can with what I have? So if I know I want to not be in the streets, then okay, during the summer I need to occupy myself because that's when people are doing things. So I need to
Yes.
find this program. I need to do this. So if people are depressed right now, or you're going through a hard time, pain is there. It's always there. We're
Yes.
all going to have trials and tribulations. It's the suffering that I think you have a decision and choice to do. And there's certain modalities that you can do. One that you can do is meditate. You can journal. You can ground. Something I recently learned about. Get out in nature
Yes.
and do those kinds of things and connect with whoever and whomever you believe in, that higher power that
Hmm.
I think that we're all connected to.
Yes.
And 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 just finding community, finding
Yeah.
people. And if you're somewhere where you're isolated, find community here with Yayoi. Listen to these shows that she puts out. Get on her Facebook group. Find the people that are like-minded, that are going to speak life into you, because that's super important. No man's an island, and we
Yes.
all need to, what's that song say? We all need to lean on somebody.
Oh,
Right?
yeah. Yeah.
Some
We all need to lean
somebody
on
to
somebody. Yeah.
lean.
Lean on.
Go ahead
Right.
with
Right.
that singing voice. Yeah, yo, go ahead, girl.
No, no, no. I really sing off tune. That's why I don't sing that much. I sang happy birthday to somebody, and I normally don't sing happy birthday to anyone, right? And
Uh-huh.
I actually recorded it and sent it to that person. It was a woman that I interviewed here on this show. Her name was Grandma Risa, and she turned 107 November 1st.
Oh, Viva's grandmother, right?
Yeah, Aviva's grandmother, yeah.
Oh man, God.
And she turned 107 November 1st. So I wanted to wish her a happy birthday. So I recorded a video for her and said, want to wish you a happy birthday. I normally don't sing, but I'll sing you happy birthday. And I sang her a little bit of the happy birthday song and I sent it to her. And it was so sweet of her. She sent me back a video, saying thank you and all this. And she started singing me the Sakura song again. She sang me the Sakura song when we were on the show, and it was a song that my dad used to sing to me as well. And it has the verse Yayoi Sakura in the song, and that's why it has a lot of meaning for me. So she sang that for me again, and it was very sweet. And I feel this great connection with her, and she's been on my mind a lot these days, especially, well, it was her birthday. But what she said to me, the lesson that she taught me was really to focus on what you can control, the things that you can control. Because I mean, her two grown adult children passed away,
Oh.
before. I mean, she's still alive, but they're already gone.
Mhm.
So as a mother, that's like really, really a tough thing to do. And she said, if I could focus on that, I could focus on the fact that my husband, passed away way when I was, younger,
Mhm.
and all of those things, or that I was involved, I had my family was torn apart with the Holocaust. She said, I can focus on all of that, but I choose not to. Try to focus on the good things that have happened to me and to count my blessings. And hearing that it just really changed the way that I always believed that, but it just made it stronger, my belief stronger when I heard it from her,
Hmm.
because I see her as an example of how to live a long and full life, because you could live a long life, but it may not be full.
Right.
It
You don't
may
want
it,
to.
it you may just be existing, right? But she is alive and full of energy and life. And that's one of my goals is, I've always said to everyone, I want to live past 100 and I want to have everything intact and, you know, and be full of life and be that spunky old grandma, right?
I love it.
So, yeah. You'll see me around for
I
a
will.
long
I
time.
will. I'll come sing Sakura on your 100th birthday.
Yes, please do. That would be great. Oh, everyone heard that, so we're gonna keep
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
And
we're
and
gonna
and
keep that. Mhm,
and to her point, it reminded me of two stories too. There's speaking of how there's a book that her story and her example really kind of reminds me of that Viktor Frankl book, A Man's
mhm,
Search for Meaning. So if people are going through a hard time, I think that's a practical resource that you could look at. And then
yeah,
there's also a story of a woman named Corrie Ten Boom, who
mhm,
also was during the Holocaust period, and they were in a concentration camp, and she had a sister. And then in this barracks, there was all these like fleas all the time, and they already had these like poor existence. And the sister and the Corrie Ten Boom started like really being frustrated, rightfully so. It's like why God, why is this happening? I'm a good person. Why am I in this
mhm,
concentration camp? All this kind of stuff, and now these damn fleas. What in the world? And then her sister said, she started, let's pray, sis, let's pray. She said, thank you, God, that I'm with my sister. Thank you, God, that I have a roof. Thank you, God, that I have my health intact. Thank you, God, for the fleas. And then Corey said, sis, I was with you until you said those fleas, God damn it. I'm not feeling those fleas. They're horrible. They make me itch. I don't like it. I can't scratch. I can't reach the part of my back. And she said, we should show appreciation and thanks in all things. Now, the grander macro thing is that because of the fleas, the soldiers would avoid that content that
that
barracks
that
and actually
oh,
save their lives. So I
wow.
have to remind myself of that too sometimes, where things might not be going the way I want them to, or there's disappointment or there's
Oh,
pain.
yeah,
Rather
yeah.
than suffering, I'm like, okay, well, if I zoom out, what is God doing here? What is another potential meaning that we're attaching to this? So that's something else that I think that the audience could find valuable.
Wow, that's such a beautiful story. I that was the first time I've heard that story. I love it. And it's so true that, just a shift in perspective, and when you're in the midst of it, it's hard to see that other perspective. But when you do, it's like, wow, whatever God you believe in, you start realizing there was another plan to all this. There's a reason why this is happening. And I know, like, wow, like, I know I rarely talk about this, but like even my, I was married for about 10 years and I divorced, but even that experience, brought me to who I am today.
Mhm.
um, you know, to learn about communicating with another person, communicating with a different type of person, different cultures, and just in general for my own growth. I think, it was a painful experience. A lot of it was painful. I also learned a lot about, why. I learned a lot about myself because I used to have very low self-esteem.
Yeah.
And that's when I got into eating disorders and all that. And, I never felt that I was good enough or all of the, toxic 10, right? And, and, but now in retrospect, without that experience, I wouldn't be who I am with the compassion that I have for others
Mm.
and be able to speak my truth to other people.
Mhm.
Um, even the eating disorder, it was accumulation of a lot of things, and I think it just got, really um, got to a head when I was married and, going through the bad part of the relationship.
Mhm.
And but without that, I wouldn't have the compassion that I have now for other people. Um, I wouldn't understand why I felt that I needed to play small and be who I wasn't, to not shine.
Yeah, yeah.
so to speak. Yeah. Yeah. So, and it's really, gosh, it's interesting how we can look into ourselves and figure out, wow, we did this because we didn't want to do this or show this to another person. And I think it's really interesting the roles that we play, and because, like Shakespeare says, life is a stage, right? And we're
Yep.
just mere players in it.
Hmm.
And I always think, yeah, we're in the play of our lives, the show of our lives, and we take on many different roles.
Yep.
But we're allowed to create the role that we want, and we forget that. We don't have to play the role that society dictates to us.
That's true. That's
Yeah,
facts.
yeah,
That is super facts. And it takes courage and to be able to do that, to be able to break out of that mold.
yeah,
And I think it and when you become an example, like you said, from that compassion, from that place, I think you strengthen and empower other people as well, that what the possibilities are. It's just like what Joseph says, it's self to self for progress and self to
yep,
others for possibilities. So
yeah,
from your example, from my example, from other neuron coded examples, from Paul Martinelli, from Joseph, we see what's possible.
yeah.
Even when you're at rock bottom, even when you go through whatever challenges you've gone through. And if and God willing, if you do want to love, if you do want to marry again, when you do, hopefully it's a true love, and
Oh,
you become an
yeah,
example of what that is as well. You
yeah.
know.
Definitely, definitely. And, I think it's just wonderful that we as human beings have the ability to shift that mindset, and we can attain whatever we want. We can grow as much as we want. And we forget that, because society, hammers things down into us, like, and
Mhm.
they try to stop us. And I think it's that fight that we all have, that heart, I
Mhm.
think, that we want to get better. We want to, well, there's a part of me that always wants to say, I want to show them that I'm not like what they say that I am, right? There's a rebellious part of me that's always there.
Yeah.
But you know what? That's my fire. That's my
Right.
fire. And, I want to say, hey, kiss my ass, right?
Right. Right.
Basically. Okay, sorry. But that's me. And say, see, I proved you wrong.
Right.
And that's part of who I am. Like, I remember when I used to be a smoker, or I mean, like, a
Well, weed.
really heavy smoker, yeah,
You're
for a
smoking.
long time. I used to smoke, at the worst, I used to smoke close to 2 packs a day.
Sheesh.
I
Okay.
know, I know, with a chimney, right? Uh, and, I remember, yeah, I was like one after the other, but chain smoking. And, I remember a close friend at the time, she said to me, "I'll bet you can't stop smoking."
Ooh,
And yeah, that really pissed
pissed
me
you off.
off. Yeah, pissed me off. And I was like, okay, I'm going to show her. And I went cold turkey after
Wow.
that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it was because she had stopped, and she goes, well, I was able to stop. So, I'll bet you can't. And it was like that challenge that kind of
Yeah.
made me like, part of me was like, huh, I don't care. But then another part was like, I'm going to show her that I can do
Yeah.
this.
You got to send her a thank you card. Thank you for saving my health.
That's true too. That's true. But yeah, she was quite a challenge, but she taught me many lessons
Yeah.
about myself. And you know how there are people in your life that come in
Hmm.
that challenge you in different ways, and you may not have had the best relationship, but you know, in retrospect, they were the people that shaped you.
And that you needed at that time.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
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 So I think all of us have people like that in our lives. And yeah, I mean, I know I have had, I don't know if you've had crazy bosses or
Oh,
people that,
girl, do you got time for a story? I could tell you a story
yes,
that
please.
pissed me off, that had me act out of character. So I'm not gonna give the name of the restaurant, even though I feel like I want to. This
Don't.
was I was working this when I was like really struggling, still living in the Bronx, sleeping on the floor. And it was around the holiday time, and I was working at this restaurant, and they for whatever reason they missed my payment, and I was trying to get home to see my mom. So that Friday, I think we're supposed to get paid weekly,
Yeah,
and I was already struggling, so I was really trying to do and sleeping on the floor. So I was trying to find a way to get the plane ticket to go see my mom for the
right.
house. So the first Friday came and he was like, "Oh, sorry, we couldn't get it to you." I was like, "Okay, well, shoot, that makes this week, upcoming week, even stressful because how am I going to get to work? I got to pay the MTA, and it was that bad. Like
Yeah.
people like, you don't have $2 in your account now. It was, it was bad, bro. It was,
I know, believe me, I've been there.
so it was like I got to jump some turnstiles. I got to figure it out to get to work, and then the next week, guess what? Still didn't get paid. So now I'm frustrated because now the holiday's like 2 weeks. And I'm like, I talked to this guy, I confront him, I'm like, hey man, what's going on? And then this is what pissed me off. He was like, I said, yeah, I'm trying to go home and see my mom. He was like, I guess you're gonna have to change your holiday plans. I was like, what? Now you about to see the hood in me come out a little bit because now you like I gotta don't do that. So I let it go, did my woosah, right? Did my woosah, went home. But then the next week, he didn't pay me again. So now in the middle restaurant, I blow up. I'm like, I want my money now. I'm not leaving the restaurant. He's like, I'm calling. I was like, call cops, all this guy, blah, 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 blah. So I've had all that to say. I've had poor bosses as well. I haven't dissected the lesson that he was teaching me. but
That's a
but
hard one,
yeah,
yes.
but that's a story that I have. And I was fired like 2 weeks after that. But I got my money though.
Good, good.
So
As long as you got your money.
yeah,
Well, I mean, hey, you worked those, those hours. So
yeah,
that should be, you should be paid for it.
yeah,
There's nothing illegal about that. That is a legal process that you should be paid.
yeah,
And the fact that if they don't pay you, that's on them. They're being illegal. They're breaking the law.
yeah. That restaurant,
So
it doesn't exist anymore. So that says something
good.
about, yeah. It,
Well, it's funny how, like you said, that restaurant doesn't exist anymore. When people do things like that to you, you
yeah.
grow stronger, but you also know that things happen to them that, it's always cause and effect, right? That, and you may not see it in your lifetime or you may not see it immediately,
Hmm.
but repercussions do happen when you
Yeah,
treat people poorly.
it's true.
And I think that's something, I mean, we in Japan there's a saying that if you're cruel to something, that something bad will happen to you, right? Or if you're cruel to something, it's always reciprocated in one way or another. It's
Yeah,
balances, right?
like karma.
Yeah, it's very much like that. I truly believe that. And I always say, if somebody's treating somebody badly, you may not see it immediately and you may not see it in your lifetime, but eventually it'll catch up with them.
Yeah,
And I truly believe that because when you create that negative energy and you affect, you create negativity in other people and create not evil, but like bad things for that person or people in general, that comes back to you tenfold. And
yeah,
I really believe that
yeah, yeah,
because I think there's always a balance in the world, good and evil and all that. Well, that's why I love my superheroes and everything.
yeah. Yeah, I believe that too.
Yeah. I think that really, yeah, there are balances and we may not see it in our lifetime, but that does happen.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, I mean, I think everyone's had their fair share of, injustices happening and sad things happening. Yeah, but in the end, you find your happiness, and that's revenge. Finding your own happiness and peace. That's
yeah,
like you got your revenge when you can feel that.
that's true.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I'm just really happy that things are really working for you. And I know you always share, like, when we're on our calls for the Neuroencoding Institute, you always share your wins. And I'm always happy that you're getting these wins because I know that we always say it's simple. The
Yeah,
methods are simple, but what's difficult is continuing to do that. And you had said, you've been doing everything exactly every single day. And could you explain a little bit to our viewers what it is like, what the importance of repetition and doing something consistently?
yes. The importance of repetition can't be understated. The first immediate thing that comes to mind is Joseph tells a story about Steph Curry. And if you're
Yeah.
not familiar with Steph Curry, he's an NBA player in the US, and he's like a magician on the court with the 3 points. And there's two stories that come to mind because I'm a sports guy. So Steph Curry has not gotten there without doing repetition. So he practices from the free throw line every aspect, like to the level of like how far the ball bounces, like how much air needs to be in the ball. That level of nuance and detail on top of your fundamentals is what really helps you get further faster.
Yeah.
So in my own life, Joseph has shared that every morning he drinks his lemon water. I do that, and then he stretches while giving his gratitude. So because I like modeling success leaves clues, I do
Yes.
the same thing for
Yes.
him. And the simple things, if it's simple, I praise myself for it and then keep on doing it over and over again. And in whatever area of your life that you want to get better at. So if it's developing gratitude, find somebody to you who really exemplifies that. And if you don't, like find a fictional person, find somebody who really exemplifies that. What would a grateful person do? How would they be? And then write those things down and then dedicate yourself to a discipline of it. And especially when it's difficult and hard. And the
Yes.
best way that I found for me is scheduling it out. And then also, if you fall off, because I'm human, sometimes like maybe I'm running late for an appointment, I got to run here, and I don't do something I'm going to do. I don't really dwell on that. I focus on the days that I did do something,
Yes.
and then praise myself for that, and then build on that. But the discipline of what you want is what's really going to help you get to where you want to go. Small hinges open massive, massive doors.
Oh, I love that. Small hinges open massive doors. That's a great analogy, and I love that quote. That's easy for people to remember too.
Hmm.
Yeah. And repetition is really so important. And like you said, sometimes we're human. We sometimes forget. I mean, the other day I journal,
Hmm.
and I do my gratitude journal before I go to sleep, right?
Hmm.
And usually I do it, well, it's me. So I'm doing it in bed. I'm lying in bed and writing, right? And you can imagine what happened the other day.
Fall asleep.
I fell asleep writing, and I was looking at it. I guess I fell asleep writing so that I can't even read what I wrote.
It's in there though. It's in the
Yeah, it's
thought.
in there. I did it. Yeah, and then of course I had 10 marks on my sheets as well, but
You got
but
something
I
to sleep though.
yeah, but hey, I did it and I kind of did it, right? But I still, the intention was there. And I was like, oh, well, that happens. And, but it's the consistency, it's the act of doing it, or even half doing it
Yeah.
makes a difference. And it's true. Like, I have my morning rituals. I think a lot of us who follow Joseph and who model him follows similar things. And I think it's important for people to create a ritual or a routine. I like to say ritual because routine is something that you do without really thought or feeling attached to it.
Yeah.
And to me, a ritual is something that you do with feeling and an intention behind it.
Hmm.
So for me, I do these different things. I drink water, of course,
Hmm.
first thing in the morning, and I do my stretches. And I always tell everyone I do my victory stretch.
I
I
love that.
wake up and I do this, and I go victory, and I'm creating a V, and I'm like, okay, this is victorious. I'm gonna have a victorious day,
I love
and
that.
that's the way I start out each day. And since I started doing that more consistently, this has already been like years now, but I think it was like during COVID maybe that I really started doing this.
Hmm.
Um, COVID really, for me, it was a blessing in disguise. Um, it was, I think I was I was in corporate America. I was kind of like on that hamster wheel of corporate America, going
Hmm.
into work, coming home, and just exhausted, not being able to do much at all. And it was a pause that made me think about my life and what I really wanted in my
Hmm.
life. And I thought I was doing okay. I thought I had everything all set up, everything was fine. Emotionally, I was okay. And then COVID hit, and I didn't know what to do. And I remember I talked to my boss and I said, how are we going to get through this working from home and all this and that? And she had just moved out of New York to her hometown where her parents were.
Hmm.
And she started working from home. So she had her home office and all this and that. And the advice she gave me was start creating a routine for yourself,
Mm,
a set routine every day. And that's going to help you through this whole process. And I was like, okay. So what I started doing was, before that, I had a dog walker come in to walk my dog and all this and that. And I was just going into work every day. So I started to create my routine or rituals around my dog's walk times.
mm,
And that was helpful in setting up a routine and setting up more discipline for myself. And that was actually, something that was very, very, it was a goal. Yeah, it was a gift within the tragedy or within the pandemic that I found.
yeah.
And I think a lot of people, it was, I think, who was it? Tony had said this as well. And so had Joseph, that you can either, during the pandemic, you could either just wallow in what's going on, or
Hmm.
you can take steps to better yourself.
Yeah.
And I was very fortunate that I was able to had a boss that was really, really knowledgeable and compassionate
Hmm.
and knew what to say. And that was a good mentor for me. And also the fact that, I got to meet Tony. I was virtually, I was on his first virtual UPW.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah. And we got struck by lightning.
Oh,
That
really?
first one. Yeah, the first one that he had, he was in his studio in Florida, and the studio got hit by lightning.
Wow.
And we went out. I mean, and so it was only the local teams. We were all connected, but the studio wasn't connected to all of us.
Wow.
So we were out for, I don't know, maybe an hour or two until they could fix everything. Yeah.
That
But
that can I speak to that? I
yes.
think I because Tony's doing such an, especially when he was doing that during 2020 when people
Oh,
needed
yeah.
it. It's so funny how when you really want to help people, how those like other forces like, no, I don't want people getting help, but he still found a way.
Yeah.
That's my next question. The fact that Tony is who he is, I was going to say, how did he get through that? It came back up, I'm sure.
Yeah.
He,
Yeah. He got his people working on it and it got back up and we were able to complete the UPW. And it was
wow.
the first time that people were using, Zooms like,
Mhm.
now it's all common. Like you have these big studios with all these Zoom, what do you call,
Like
TV
screens.
screens, yeah, that created like a big screen
Mhm.
that's created by small screens that, is a Zoom room. But he's the one that created it with the work of the head person at Zoom. He
Mhm.
worked with the person at Zoom to create this massive studio with these walls of TV panels, right?
Mhm.
Flat screen TV panels that are connected to each Zoom link so that each person is shown in that. He was the one that created that with Dean Graziosi. I think Dean was the one that introduced Tony to, connecting online. And Tony, of course, being Tony, uh, you know, talked to the person at Zoom and they created the whole studio system like that. And
That's
now it's like commonplace.
yeah. Shout out
Yeah.
to him. You see how when you don't let your circumstances define you, inspire others.
Yeah.
Tony's
Yeah.
an example,
Oh
uh,
gosh, yes.
great example of that.
He really is
Am I
because
glowing? I just looked at my screen.
you're getting sun into your lens. That's why
Here, let me
from the window. Yeah.
fix this.
Yes.
There
Yes.
we go.
Yes. I'd rather see your face.
Yeah,
Yeah. Although it kind of looked like a halo around
a
you.
little bit.
Yeah. But yes, I mean, it's really when you're pushed to an extreme,
Yeah.
I think that's when your essence comes out, the person's essence,
Yes.
that person's energy.
Hmm.
And it's like sink or swim, right?
Yeah.
And I think most of us have the will. I want to believe that many of the majority of us are swimmers,
Yes.
that we don't succumb to whatever and we say, you know what, we're going to keep on going. And yeah, and I'd like to spread that, of course, to as many people as I can, because one of my mission statements in life um, is that I want to think, well, the last part of it is that I want to reignite, empower, inspire, empower, and reignite the fire within each soul that I encounter so that they may shine as brilliantly as they can, or they're
Awesome.
supposed to. And that's part of like one of the things that I do every morning, like part of my incantation and
Hmm.
my I am statements that I do every day. And that's part of my mission, is to really be that fire, or that be the catalyst to create that fire again within a person, because we're all born with that fire
Yeah.
to live. And we're all energy, so of course you should be reignited, you know
Yeah.
and shine.
And shine
Yeah,
brightly like a
yeah,
diamond, like Rihanna
yep,
would say.
yeah, yeah. And I love the fact that, I mean, you've you've worked so hard, and everything that you've done is really coming to fruition right now. And I know you work hard, and I know you follow the 60-20-20 rule. And like you said, you model Joseph, who is my model too, and my mentor. um and also like people like Grandma Risa, 107. They're all my mentors, and I think it's one of these things that we have to consciously make an effort to surround ourselves with these people.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I would
yeah,
agree.
yeah.
Mhm.
So may I ask you, who are like your five people that you surround yourself with, that create that environment for you to keep going and be on the positive? Yeah.
Yeah, I have tons. So Joseph's definitely one. I have another great couple. Their name's Muhammad and Delandria. They're down in
Hmm.
Florida. I talked to them. Anthony Potter, Jody, Brian, Sia. Books.
Yeah.
I listen to them as well. And then yeah, I have tons. I learn. It depends on where I am. Like
Hmm.
acting, I have a great friend, Gaius. He's been a mentor and a brother and a friend to me.
Oh,
Um, so yeah, different areas for acting. It's Gaius. Life stuff. It's Joseph, Mo, V, Brian, Sia, Aunt Jody, and just
okay.
tons. And then within even the institute, I learn and get inspired by what people are doing there as well.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
true.
you and
Yes.
Cindy, you have your TV show, and everybody's thriving, and it's like I think thank you for the compliment of I'm thriving. I think all of us are, and a rising ship raises all tides. So I think I'm excited for all of us.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if our viewers want to get in touch with you, how should they find you? Maybe if they want to follow you in your acting career, how should they find you as well there, and your coaching career?
Sure. So Arron Empowers, ARRON EMPOWERS is the
Hmm.
coaching front. For acting, you can follow me on Instagram, ARRONLLOYD. That's on Instagram. You can follow me on LinkedIn as well. I have a couple big projects coming out next year. So I'm excited to share that with you guys when I can. And if you want to work with me, just AaronEmpowers.com.
Yes, thank you, Erin. Thank you for being here today. I'm just really grateful that we were able to find the time that worked for both of us
Yeah.
to be on this show. So thank you. And any words that you'd like to leave our viewers with?
I always say, dare to make life your canvas and dare to make it beautiful. Live your life on purpose and continue to be led by love. Continue to be led by love in everything that you do the best you can, and continue to work on your heart and your mind.
Wow. Thank you,
Yeah,
Erin. Thank you for being here today.
my pleasure.
So, thank you. So, this show can also be heard on Spanglish World Network, Radio Network, I'm sorry, and it could be check out spanglishworld.ca for all the news and programming. Spanglish World. Watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and live it. So, thank you.